Pastor Franklin Mensah, board chairman, GIF. Okukrubon and Nete Kwesiajima. Dodo Wahine. Playtime is over. And as usual, we start the way we start. Folks, until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. I'll say that again. Folks, I said until the lions have their own historians, the tales of hunting would always glorify the hunter. Hello and welcome to the most opinionated hour on radio and the nation's thought-provoking hour. I am Nana Ansah Kwao, the fourth chief of the Little Republic of Akwemu Edumasa, and I say thank God it's Monday. Another fine opportunity to meet up to perform radio's finest ritual, a ritual I call That's My Opinion. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, Mondays at this time. Make it a date, set your clocks, and join us. And our topic today, folks, Carnival style mourning. Carnival style mourning. You know, I'll say, let us all gather and make truth good. Well, folks, you know, this is a delicate matter. However, I have to be a bit brutal today. Folks, you see, to see a spiritual people, to see a spiritual people's relationship with their God, it's usually seen in how they receive their newborns and how they send off their dead. Yeah, if people are quite spiritual, their relationship between themselves and their God is how they receive their new births and how they send off their dead. But today I'll leave the newborns out. But as Ghanaians, folks, we believe death is a transition to the ancestral world. Therefore, folks, we don't bury our dead, but rather we hide them. We hide them so they can continue on their journey. And we all hope for a good death, which is, you grow old, they bring you out in the morning, you get some vitamin C until God calls you. And that's a good death. So while you are alive, folks, you must live right as much as possible, because a good ghost is one that children are named after. And then you can be considered as an ancestor, depending on the life you live, how upright you were. And then you're considered as an ancestor. So you can't come to the world and be, a notorious armed robber and expect that you be considered an ancestor. No, you're not. Folks, traditions and culture can get corrupted through time and technology. And technologies have thrown the spanner in the works when it comes to tradition and culture. Technology has really just blown so many things apart. Now let me share you a very funny story, and then I'll come back to it. My dad told me that apparently, Nana Furiata the first, big chief, and gone are the days of the landline. So the palace had a landline, and one of his sub-chiefs also got a phone. So he needed this sub-chief for something, and then he called him. But then the Jasihini was with Nana in the palace. He says, Nana, let me quickly run to this guy's house and see that. Is he standing up and talking to you, or is he sitting down? Now, technology, folks. Yes, customarily, if you're speaking to your boss, you have to stand. But this time you are home on the phone. What do you do? Does it apply or not? So this is some of the things that technology can do. Things where you should have sent a linguist to travel 2-3 days to go, you can easily WhatsApp. What then happens? So sometimes technology can hit us. But I think that's one of the very funny stories. Nana, folks, when refrigeration was not so widespread, when one dies maximum 2 days, they were buried. There was no time for black cloth, red cloth, or red, black, and white. No. Any cloth that did not signify celebration was okay. Then in 40 days' time, the family will sit and mourn and remember the dead. In 40 days, it is believed the soul will be departing. And also in 40 days, folks, the family members who are far would be able to walk, gather, and come to where the funeral was to take place. 40 days to do that journey so that you all come into the 40 days. Family members that are far could also come and gather. And folks, it is believed that when they gather and you cry, it will aid the soul to travel in peace into the ancestral world. Folks, again, the family and sympathizers who are coming to the bereaved will bring along food and drinks. Those who are hunters will bring their meat. Those who tap palm wine will bring palm wine. Everybody brings something. Because usually there won't be, food in the house of the bereaved. Funerals were solemn. Funerals were painful. Indeed, those who are bereaved will shave their heads, and that's why it's called a yiyase. They will shave their heads. And the more impactful the person was when it was in their lifetime will depend on the numbers that will turn up at the funeral. But one thing was certain, folks. You don't go and burden the bereaved family any further. So that we all sit, remember the dead, mourn the dead, eat, and then those who will depart will depart. Bring along food. You bring drinks. But time, technology, and maybe wealth. Today, the same tradition is almost not recognized. When there's a death, folks, you will be lucky if you can keep the family intact after the burial. The complications, the arguments, the decisions, those who are just in there to siphon money, they bring a piece of meat and said, I bought a cow and therefore, give me. Well, we are all now under severe pressure to please society. There's been a template now that we all have to follow. So soon as the person departs, the first thing you do is deposit the body in a refrigerator somewhere. Then a funeral committee is formed. And amongst the committee, the ones who have no money, they are the ones who will not understand anything. And so throw on farmer. But no, they won't bring anything. If you say we're going to buy this coffin, no, this coffin is not befitting to my, my royal Medici and Fatano. Go and buy the most expensive one. Well, how much are you contributing? Nothing. But then he could be the paternal family. Right, no? Oh, you mistake or the injunction, but folks, they then have to figure out a date. And sometimes, depending on the status of the person, just the funeral announcement and the invitations can break a small bank. Just the funeral announcement and the invitations. And sometimes you see them on TikTok or whatever it is, moving from one celebrity to one VIP to the other. Everybody who's alive, who's breathing, who has any status, please come to the funeral. I don't care whether I have a relationship with you, whether you know whether it was my mom or that, just come to the funeral. The cost. Folks, certain people are paid to come to the funeral. It is no more about sympathizers, it is about numbers. You find 1,000, you sign my 5 you count. You find 1,000 in your sign. The people there, 2/3 of them actually don't give a hoot who's dead or not. They don't even know who's dead. They just turned up because they have to. And there's this over-glorification of the dead. And we seem to prioritize the dead over the living. Look, 15 years ago, this true story, a cripple, right? There's this guy, pauper, comes with his begging bowl for either leftover food or those days he always wants 50 pesos to buy. We have to say 50, wants to buy Gary 30 pesos and sugar 20 pesos. Man Kenya was his name. Man Kenya, moving from door to door, just begging for food. He wasn't mentally sick, just poor. So one time I asked my mom, Man Kenya, we asked about Fia Hache. And she says, he died. I said, so is he being buried? He said, no, he's in the mortuary. I said, what? He says, yes, his family has come for him and put him in a mortuary and they set up a date and everything to do a funeral. There's a guy begging 50 pesos. So were there people who could afford this, 30 cedis a day or 20 cedis a day to put him in a mortuary and they couldn't actually give it to him to buy his Gary? Probably could have added milk to it. He could have added milk to it. But these are the realities. They actually deposited him in the morgue and planned the funeral and everything for him. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a funeral, but I'm just saying, so while he was alive, all this costings and everything which they are now going to spend to do the funeral, could they have cushioned his life a little bit more? Could they have cushioned his life a little bit more? So then you come back. And now it's like, everybody's under pressure that your funeral should be in a certain way. There should be bloggers at the funeral. They should be blogging the funeral. And, Despite should show up at the funeral. Ibrahim should show up at the funeral. Some big guy should show up at the funeral. And they say, na buffet pa, they rent a big canopy, set up food, and people will eat 3 days straight. Just eat. Folks, a carnival style mourning. Funerals have now turned into expensive carnival style. But what I don't get it, right, is, when they do the funeral that big and then the MC is now literally extorting money. Come, Ansah Kwao, come and give your donation. Every 5 minutes, the donation box is here. The donation box is just hold on. What happened to modesty? What happened to solemn? What happened to modesty and what happened to solemn? What happened to cutting your coat according to the material you have? Why don't we just appreciate that, you lost a dear one, and those who are really, hurt and close to the family, do a befitting, modest, solemn send-off. What is this exhibitionism that has now creeped into funerals? And they will saddle you with debt. They'll finish. How much donation did we get? Oh, we got 200,000. How much did we spend? We spent 600,000. Really? So now we have 400,000 upside down. We haven't finished paying for the canopies. We haven't finished paying for the decorator. We haven't finished paying for the caterer. Everybody, and then all those who initially were doing the planning, and then they are left with the family. Knocking on the door every 5 minutes. Coming together balance. What happened to solemn and modesty? Folks, and sometimes there are even children involved. The person who's gone has left kids. The kids are still in school. And yet they will saddle themselves with all this funeral, put all the money in the funeral, they won't get it back, and the children sometimes have to change schools or change lifestyle, or have to move from a nicer rented house into a smaller rented house. Why? Why have we all trapped in this thing and we can't get out of it? I don't know whether we have to legislate it. Maybe we chiefs. I know in Edumasa we said that you don't serve food for your 1 week funeral. You don't care whether you are rich or not, don't serve food. It's just like, because as soon as A does it, B is under pressure to do it, because then it becomes an expectation. It becomes an expectation that the funerals should be a certain way. And God help you if you have lived a certain life, or if you are noticeable or known, then you are dead. Wherever it is that you find the money, you have to go and find it. Please, society, go home and cry and find how it is that you settle your debt. Can't we turn things around so that if somebody was bereaved and you're going there, you take things, you take food, you take water, you take stuff, and the person who's serving should not foot any bill. And so what we do, we crept in the 1 week. Why? Because we know that come the funeral, we're in trouble. So we creep in the 1 week to see if we can get some water, some drinks, some set of money, so that we put it around, aim towards the funeral. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But I think if we can find a way in which we turn things around and minimize the pressure that we put on families, that we put on ourselves, Folks, sometimes there's a funeral, and about 30% of the people who are attending a funeral, their food, their accommodation, their water, everything is based on the bill for the bereaved family. So you have to go and rent all the hotels in the area. You have to see if there's any vacant house in the town, decorate it, paint it, tidy up, and then you invite all your friends to come and live in the hotel for free, live in this house for free, and there are 3 square meals. You turn up in the house in the morning, say, so they all come in the morning, cha, all happy, chap. They've met people they haven't seen in a long time, come and sit in the morning, and to the club be any cheer. Even before turn up at church. Right after church, announcement. Those who came from Joy, go to Ziggy's house. Those of you who came from Edumasa, go to Ansah Kwao's house. Those who came here, and true too, by the time you turn up in the house, everywhere there's food. There's a buffet, there's fufu, there's wache, there's this, there's that. All at the cost of the same family that are suffering. that are bereaved. And that's become the trend. That's become the trend. And so sometimes when somebody dies in the family, now there's like two troubles, one God. So here you are, you've lost a dear one, and now you are thinking, say, Jesus Christ, where am I going to find money to bury this person? Where am I going to find money to bury this person? Because people's accommodation, fuel, food, everything is awesome. Everything. And after, you now have to go through the big thank you tour. If any big guy came to your funeral, you have to go there, and then you move to this person to go and thank them. You move to that person. Even the thank you alone could fix a small funeral. Even the thank you could do a small funeral. So, folks, I think we need to go back to what it is that we were, where funeral were literally for sympathizers, and sympathizers will come with sympathy. They'll come with food. They'll come with drinks, so that you who are suffering don't have to suffer now financially. So you don't have to suffer financially. But until then, we are all trapped. Until then, society is expecting it from all of us. Rich, poor, you are expected to go the extra mile. You are expected to go the extra mile. And then you try you try Monday, you try Tuesday, you try Thursday. Jesus. Why? Now, I attended a dear mother's funeral. I mean, the family, also them, they could afford it. Folks. But, I mean, at one end of the funeral, there was kebabs. I mean, I'm talking kebabs. And somebody would come and say, but you mean 40 steaks, why? And then the guy would just whack 40 steaks of kebab. So, maybe 18, why? Maybe 35. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, who gets 35 steaks of kebabs? And there was point and kill, folks. That's interesting. There was point and kill. So you go, you point at the catfish, they roll the catfish for you. And this guy, right, he wasn't so VIP. So he would point. And then some big guy will come, and then the guy behind the catfish thing will give it to him. So he has to wait for the next one. So after the third one, he said, no, just give me the catfish and I'll take you home. And I'm the two bag man, because anytime the thing is ready, some big gun comes and then they just bypass him. There was grills. Fine, they could afford it. But what I'm saying is that, that's what then it becomes like a society standard. They will say, and so they went to me and yet that side, the crowd, yeah, kakra. But who gets 40 steaks of kebab? Who gets 35 steaks of kebab? I mean, there was like hundreds of them. Thousands of steaks of kebabs. Funeral. Folks, funeral. Well into the night. The bereaved family had left, but the party people, forget about sympathizers, the party people were still out there chilling. There was drinks, food. I mean, there was a buffet section. There was a grill section. Everything was happening. Surely, folks, surely we can do better. Surely we can go back to solemn. We can go back to modesty. Go back to dignify. 0302 216 541. Mina is listening from Rome. Good evening to you, Mina. legendary Franklin Mensa. Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. Thanks for tuning in. Shem is on the line. Hello, let me speak to Shem. Hello, Shem. Hello.
Hello, Nana.
Shem, let me listen to you.
Hey, Nana.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Nana.
Good evening.
How have you been?
Sorry, I'm good.
Nana, why do you want to put sand in our? Why do you want to put sand in our beans?
I know, right? Because you have to go and do barbecue at the funeral. Shem, you have to go and do barbecue at the funeral.
I've submitted like 3 provisional bills already. Waiting for parents to confirm. What's your name? Oh, what is it? Oh, Nana. The dad is gone.
I withdraw.
People. We're helping them we're consoling them now. On the seriousness, there's this phrase I read somewhere, and where like, death in the physical is death in the spiritual. Death in the physical is death in the spiritual. So I get where you're coming from. Sometimes we just like you said, when it becomes a standard, if you're not able to afford it, then it's as if you're not giving the person a befitting burial. I wrote a piece somewhere some time ago about this same thing. Meanwhile, perhaps when the person was alive, a fraction of that amount would have done the person good. Even if we knew the person would die, a fraction of that amount would have probably made the person die more blissful or leave this place more blissful. But we didn't get the funds. The person perhaps died a very terrible death anyway. But in the end of it, we'll be able to say, we see in year. So this topic is very, very dear. I could get where you're coming from. And I don't know who would not support this idea, because in real effect, it's not the funeral that gives the person a greater transition. I don't believe so. But it's how we cherish the memory of what the person impacted us with physically. Because spiritually or mentally, the person is already gone. But physically, yes, of course, we miss the person, we miss the person's absence and all that. But in the same vein, I think I asked that or a few older folks about it, and they were like, oh yes, the moment you bury the person, the other people are supposed to help the family like get over it quickly. So that's where the merrymaking, the beers and stuff are supposed to come in, so as it eases the pain and everything a little bit. So that's the little I know about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I get your point too. I get your point, and I agree totally. It's like we've lost track of it, and now it comes, especially when it comes to the people. They're almost people will be standing, people will be doing all that. I don't know where that came from, and so I'm yet to listen to the folklore concerning that, whether that was part of it, and and all that. So thanks for the education, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. I just got a WhatsApp message. It says, to Ansah Kwao, Chief Vitamin said, sunlight gives vitamin C. Wrong. Correct is sunlight gives vitamin D. Oh, we can vitamin C, I'm fan chemi. The sunlight, they have vitamin D. Sunlight is vitamin D. And yes, by all means, if you have very old, family members, bring them out in the morning light. Vitamin D is, absolutely very good and healthy for them. Intimidate Patrol, I don't even know who sent this. Sampoku, Mr. Sampoku, please. Forgive me if I said vitamin C, but no. Nana Kwesi is on the line. Hello, Nana.
Nana.
Yes, sir.
Maybe the money that we use for someone. Then you just telling you that they have one more with you.
And someone had to go years ago.
But why must we boca for us to change? I want to go and pay. It never made sense to me, even though there's a justification to it. One of my brothers one of my sisters had an issue whereby this gentleman asked her, no one and the guy died. So when we went to the police station, they did the autopsy and those kind of things, and they realized, I'm paranoid. So the police did their report and everything. So everything was going. The family that we went to meet, they were understanding and everything was going on. From nowhere, someone from another family came into the picture and said, we have to pay more. What the car bono? And he was saying, Nana, it wasn't easy. Oh. What the car, Bono? And I say. And I say. Yeah, so on the family of this gentleman was telling me that to book on this obey you. So giddy, because my brother had this insurance that my sister had this insurance that covers some of these things. And aside that she was looking for the insurance to take over. No? She was also sort of supporting with her own money. Even though it's the fault of this gentleman. No? The guy was doing giddy, the boy came. So we just said, look, if he won't let us do this thing the right way, we should go to the police station, go and continue with the process and contact the insurance people. And let's see if they will pay even a dime to them. Because so when he went to the police station and the police officer asked him, report what they are kind of. He says, no, we need to know. Dr. Force and our book. It's your person. It's your person to ask so we made our sister stop paying anything. We were there and now the family called us saying that they beg us to forget everything. We said no, we should continue the process and go to the insurance people. You see, third person comes. So you want to do capital work. I'm sure if this guy is alive and he wanted even a question from you people, you say you don't have. But he died here. Somebody come. He wants to come and it's time to extort money. Come and take. Insurance people didn't pay anything. They didn't pay. And with the small money that was coming from our side, we stopped. Nana, so the glorification of dead people in this country, we understand you want to give your whoever it is a befitting burial and all that, but at the expense of what? And sometimes over a bushemi as you can cabin on here 500 cities, 1,000 cities. I was also need that. I was also need that. But we know we are never going to meet now. No way you think you're funny, near bonus and any day. Are you serious? What kind of blessing is in this one? Anyway, media is a conversation I've been having. I mean, but when we get to the point that the resources, small resources, instead that we'll be able to build. There are people who need it. We do cremation, we are born, do something simple. We have a video. I told her, Mama will sit on unnecessary things. Because as much as you want to give a beneficiary burial, in another instance, you are wasting a lot of money. Money that could save people in your family, that could make people more millionaires in your family. And you are using it on that people. And when people are now coming to funerals, they are here is Carnival or here at any party. They are morning night attending to party. Well,
Dana, thank you very much. Good evening to you, Nino Gento. Good evening, good evening. Good evening to you, Alfred Nazer. Go to Tema and speak to Ni. Hello, Ni.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And Anna, you know salt?
Yeah.
Is sodium and chloride.
Yep.
Funeral should be solemn and mourning. We get everything wrong. We'll build a Ramsar site. We put structure on fire hydrant. We put container on every edifice. Even road where we have to spend taxpayers' money to construct something, which when when our descendants come, they will know, oh, our ancestors they have foresight. Rather, we mess ourselves. I don't want to use the word, so that everybody will know, oh, this Nana Nyasimi. Good evening.
Good evening. And let me quickly add, considering how much fuss we make over funerals, I mean, our cemeteries are no place to write home about. I mean, look, you travel to other places, they have more modest and solemn funerals, but the cemeteries are pristine. And sometimes they will put benches there where, I mean, like, if you want somewhere peaceful and quietly, you just go and sit at the cemetery and it's peaceful and quietly. And houses sold next to the cemetery are more expensive. Why? Because there are no noise. And it's always cleaned and manicured. As for all the monies and whatever it is that we spend, you go to the cemetery, you probably can't even find, where you buried your loved one. Overgrown and kept. I mean, why? For the amount of fuss. But let me go and speak to my brother Imoro Al Hassan. Salam alaikum. Imoro, salam alaikum. You don't have a problem. You're gone. You're not like us. Charlie will bang you in the fridge. 3 years, 2 years, we'll be planning your funeral. Let me hear you, my brother.
Well, you see, you are painting the picture of maybe a particular culture.
Mm-hmm.
But let me emphasize that it cuts across almost all the people in Ghana, the cultures and religion in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You did say that in the past it wasn't like that. I beg to differ, Nana.
Okay.
It's been like that since. The only difference now is it has been digitalized.
Okay.
That's digitalization. Everything will be digitalized. When you come, you may not recognize it. You see, that's all about being organized, and at the end of the day, they have it to death. If it was rampant and common, every funeral there is death, I'm sure they would have changed. But maybe some of them will make exorbitant profit. So everyone wants to try and make more profit. I learned business of friends at least people but and go and look for people to invite them. And then when they make their profit, then they pay the owners of the funeral and make their profit. So people are making money.
Money out of it. I see.
Yes. So it is something that only the future would decide which direction to go. And of course, like you said, the kids can also play a role. If laws that should not happen. Because as soon as you allow one person to do it, majority will be under pressure to also repeat it. It's better. That is the situation for us. Thank you very much, Mama.
Iboro, thank you very much. Good evening to you, Eugenia, Tim, Eddie. This one says, my dad is over 103 years old. I told my parents this some time ago that Misika and Ifunu, I do not buy into this unnecessary spending on the dead. I grew up believing that we honor the dead and that funerals were for the living. Why keep a corpse at the mortuary for more than a week? We have lost our senses and priorities in this country. I've started planning my funeral. I want to be buried at my house. I have children to care for with my hard-earned resources. Nana, I live not to please society. I set my own standards. Mark Cosby. Mark Cosby when he had. Folks, can we, make funerals a bit, less expensive? Can we adopt a culture that does not make funerals more of a fanfare? I mean, some funerals now become more of a fanfare, more of a showpiece, and it's just becoming the norm. You see, that's the scary part. It's not as if, those who have money have. No. Whoever it is expected of you that you, at least your funeral, 3 days. Friday, you bring the body from the morgue. Saturday, we sit there and do the funeral, everything. And then Sunday, there's memorial service. If you come from Ekropon, then Mondays is when the family itself sits down. So 4 days straight. 4 days straight. 4 days straight. Friday at Waba. Saturday, people come do the mourning and do all the stuff. Sunday morning, you go to church. After church, you come and sit down. And then Monday is when the family will come and sit, and then they will show who's to inherit you and, all that stuff on Monday. So 4 days clean. I got Hayford on the line. Hayford, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Bato.
Let me hear you, my brother.
Thank you. Thanks for your program. Nana, it's not anybody desires to do expensive funeral, but it's because of this societal issue that we are having. That's why. Nobody plans to do a funeral exorbitantly, but just because of how the society will talk about it. If you do it small, they will talk. If you did huge, they will talk. So it's like, I don't even know how to explain it again. Because, I don't know. It's like, we don't know how our societal differences have been taking places or influencing us. So that is what I just want to say about your program today. It's because of the societal differences that we are having, or the societal influences. That is the only thing that we are facing. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, this is where maybe traditional leaders, come in. I mean, is there any way we can say, look, a funeral should be held maybe just one day? So your memorial service, everything is on a Saturday, bam, 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 done. And by 4 o'clock, the funeral should be done. I don't know if we can do that. Say, look, the funeral can only be held on Saturday. Saturday by 6 o'clock, you bring the body, they do the burial, they have a little memorial service by 4 o'clock, asa, so that you don't have time to bring the cocktail and the live band and the police band and the fire service band, the cream, nasa. I don't know if it will help. I mean, I remember COVID time, 25 people should just attend a funeral. Can you imagine? I went to a funeral and then I was the 26th person to go to the church. So they asked the widow to go out. I said, why not anybody else? So they, and then, because there were only 25 people. But there were people who thought, well, no, I'll keep my body in the fridge until this 25 ban is over. No, they wanted a crowd. And I was thinking, well, why don't you take the opportunity? If it's only 25 people, man, Charlie, it's only 25 sandwiches. Bury the person, case closed. The only thing is just you bought the coffin. Moka. But no. Kofi is on the line. Hello, Kofi.
Hello, Nana. Good evening.
Good evening.
Nana, should I say in quotation marks, you have hit the nail right on the head. and not the head on the nail or whatever I say. But Nana, I'll give you a story.
Mm-hmm.
There was this friend of mine whose father was a soldier, and then the man got sick for a while, and he realized that no, he couldn't do any fancy funeral. So he told the kids that when he died, on the 7th day, they should bury him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gave them specific instructions that they shouldn't send the body even to the church. But this man that I'm talking about, it's one of the what's their name? They call it a leading member in the church, if I should say.
Okay.
And so, even that, he told them they shouldn't send his body to the church. So at 37, I don't know whether you have been to 37 mosque before. You realize that behind they have this waiting area there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's where they did some small solemn funeral service for him. 1 hour. 1 hour. And then quickly they sent the man to military cemetery. And he got buried. After him, everybody should go to his house.
Kabiyama.
everybody should go to his house. So the only people who were served some form of food were his family members. I think they were just a mini bus full, 15 people who came from way from Kumasi, and they were given some form of food, and then they were even sent on their way back to Kumasi that same day. Nana, I think it behoves on us individuals also to also start putting something on paper. Mm-hmm. And I think the current generation, some of us are beginning to be aware of this. And let me tell you one funny thing, Nana. My father knew this man, and I went with him. So he was standing there, and my father is also quite cool. He was standing there, and he was like, "Hey, Kofi, Papa, do you mind a simple?" Nana, what do you think was my answer? Thank you very much, and a nice program.
Thank you too. That's a good one here. It's a good evening, Anna. You can start this great initiative from the great kingdom of yours, and let's see how it goes. Charity, they say, begins at home. Why don't you forward me your address so that when I initiate, I run to your house? You didn't add your name. But we done the 1 week one, right? No food and drinks for 1 week, because it was creeping in where for 1 week, then you see they started doing, packs of jollof and everything for 1 week. What for? The whole idea of 1 week, if you want to gather a little bit to go and do the funeral, so we said no packs, no drinks at the 1 week. We just sit down, short service. Tell us when the funeral is going to be near Kwaba. If we have to give you something, we give you something so you save it towards the funeral. Nana Safo in Tema. Says Nana, when my dad died, it took me 2 weeks to get the autopsy report before we could get a death certificate and burial permit. This was even a week after getting the coroners from the police. How could I have buried within 2 weeks? Aside that, I was told my dad was a royal, so I couldn't go ahead of tradition to bury him. Back and forth, and I lost my mom too. Virginia Sintimedi. It was a very sad time, I remember. Folks, every Monday we do this. I bring a topic with Jojo. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, and we do it agreeably. And the able producers, international producers, Ansah Kwao, Emisa, Oliver, and the legendary Ziggy. I am Nana Ansah Kwao the Fourth, Chief of the Little Republic of Edumasa. God willing, next Monday, we'll be back to do this all over again. But in the meantime, in between time, go onto your socials, the Little Republic of Edumasa, like and share. All your socials, the Little Republic of Edumasa, like and share. Stand by for your news bulletin. Kofi Hayford will be up next. Don't you even touch the dial.